Hello everyone. Thank you for coming to my channel. And I think today is probably a busy day. Usually I have people already in the chat box, but everybody's probably busy doing so many different things. So today I just wanted to talk about some things what have you learned in the last like 6 months? So if you come on to this live, then you can go ahead and post something in the chat box. Just type in anything that you've learned within the last 6 months. And I just would be interested to see what you guys come up with. Things that I have learned are StreamYard. Yeah, that's been within the last 6 months. I have learned a lot of different things. I have learned more about my computer. I've learned more about just so many different things. Hello, Evelyn. So I'm just asking this question. What have you learned? Something new that you have learned within the last 6 months. And you can type it in the chat box. And I wanted to invite anybody who wants to come and chat with me today on the channel. I will post the link in the chat box if you want to. I know that sometimes people just want to just watch and maybe they're busy doing something else. A lot of times I'll put on the I will put on the videos and I'll be cleaning, doing dishes, and doing things like that. So, but if you're interested and you want to come on and chat today, I would be glad to put the link in the chat box. So Candy says she's learned not to rely on the VIPKID alarm to let you know when you have classes. Yeah, that is a good one. Although sometimes I turn off the alarms and they go on like during my other classes. I hate that. But I did have a no-show at one point. I can't even remember when it was. But yeah, the alarms can be helpful if they're working. Evelyn learned to garden, do Zoom, finger knitting, and how to teach on OUTSCHOOL. Awesome. Learning to homeschool. Yes. Yes, those are some things that I have learned also. My gardening didn't go so well, really. I learned that my headset with the USB works on my MacBook Pro, but the headset that goes into the little circle thing does not work. So I bought these for like 35 bucks. They do not work. And last week I used my AirPods and I didn't think the sound was very good either. So I am going headsetless today and no AirPods today also. Goliath has been sick again. Oh, Casey. Casey has a new puppy. Well, adopted dog, right? Yeah, that's hard. Okay, so Casey says, I learned OUTSCHOOL how to fix the refrigerator water line. Ooh, awesome, Casey. Wow, we are learning a lot. So I learned OUTSCHOOL as well. I have taught several classes for OUTSCHOOL. My VIPKID classes are going very well. I'm getting my regular amount of classes, it's about 30 classes per week is what I'm doing. And I've kind of cut out any evening classes. Sometimes I'll do, like last night I did 2 classes. Tonight I do not have any classes for VIPKID. I did have some OUTSCHOOL classes in October. I made a little bit of money, a little over $200 I've made for OUTSCHOOL, not a killing. So I'm watching other people's videos to see what I can do to up my game for OUTSCHOOL. I've been browsing through the classes that are being offered on OUTSCHOOL. There are a lot of impressive teachers on OUTSCHOOL. So it's a little bit intimidating. But I've read that for OUTSCHOOL, I've been doing the one-time classes. I do have one finger knitting class that's like 4 weeks in a row, and we've been making projects, and I've had a couple of return students, but for the most part, the kids will come one time and then that's it. So, yeah, so for OUTSCHOOL, I've watched some videos and it looks like success with OUTSCHOOL comes with the recurring classes, ongoing classes. So I made up an ongoing class last night and it got approved. So now I just need to figure out when I'm going to teach that class. And I figure if I can get one class for OUTSCHOOL with 5 students, that will be almost what I make per day for VIPKID. So if I did 2 classes per day for OUTSCHOOL, that would be more than VIPKID. But it seems like OUTSCHOOL is not as for sure. Like if I open my slots for VIPKID, I get them booked. For OUTSCHOOL, I wait. I haven't gotten any of my classes for bread making booked. I had a vocabulary class. I had one person sign up for it and then they canceled. And so I need to try out some new classes. And Candy says, so Casey says the rescue said St. Bernard mix. The vet doesn't think so. I just did a DNA test. Oh my goodness. I didn't know they did DNA tests for dogs. That's awesome. So Candy says, Evelyn, I'm praying for you. You have been in my thoughts and prayers. Yeah, Evelyn has been sick and has some videos on her channel that you could go check out about her status with VIPKID. Hello, Luann. Good to see you. So I'm still working on trying to get enough classes with OUTSCHOOL so that I can feel like I am rolling with it. It's kind of hit or miss for me right now. And it's kind of frustrating because I'll open times and you have to be ready to be, I open times for certain classes. So then you have to leave it there. I kind of was thinking it would be nice if parents wanted to take a class, they can let you know. But I don't really like the booking system for OUTSCHOOL because it's you have all what you think might be booked and then it doesn't get booked and then you don't have availability for other classes that might get booked. So I don't know. I'm just not doing very well trying to figure out the OUTSCHOOL program, but I have a reading class that I put up yesterday. So I'm going to try that. I need to figure out ongoing classes. Yeah. So I put up a reading class, which is an ongoing oral reading class for more advanced readers, not for beginner readers. More like if they know how to read, but they just need practice reading. So that's what I put up. So we'll see how that goes because it just depends on what parents book and how the kids read. So like if you're in a regular classroom, say you have 30 kids, you're going to split it up between their ability to read. So it's kind of a shot in the dark as to who signs up for something like that. So we'll see what happens. And I was thinking of doing a math course, but I'm looking at the math and there's so many people doing math. So I also thought maybe of opening some time for tutoring, maybe reading, like personal reading. Maybe some kids don't want to do it in a group and they want to do it as, one-on-one type of thing. So I thought I might open some tutoring slots and see how that goes, but I don't really want to, I just want to maximize my time with OUTSCHOOL. We're healthy, happy. Thank you. Yes. Good. Good, Evelyn. Good perspective. And, it is what it is, right? Hello, Danny. So, so with OUTSCHOOL, I'm still working on trying to figure out what's going to work for me. Finger knitting has gone well. I've had some classes with 3 or 4 kids, but they're not booking like, I open it books. I have a few more classes with only 2 students. I've had classes with 1 student. And that's not really, I kind of would rather do larger groups. And I've tried a few regular knitting classes and those are really hard. It's hard to teach kids to knit. Some kids are they catch on real quick to crafts. Other kids do not. So knitting is kind of hard to teach virtually. So, so it's been interesting and I've been doing it, but I had a really great class last Friday night with some of my friends, Evelyn, Mindy, and Stephanie. So they all came to my finger knitting class, and it was a real blast. I loved it. Thank you guys for coming. And I had a class on Friday day for Kelly. She had requested a daytime class, and she was the only one that booked. So we're going to extend that to next Friday. So if anybody's interested, next Friday, 10 a.m., Your Teachable Moment with Kelly tag, and we'll see who else books up. So we're going to open it then. And so we're going to have that next Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern. So if anybody's interested, you could go ahead and check out Your Teachable Moment. There's a lot of new classes going up. I also have the cornucopia class coming up, and I really want my friends to do it. You will love it. You will love this craft, and it will be really fun to do it together. So learning to knit is not easy. I went to private Christian school growing up. My chorus teacher taught us to knit during chorus trips. Oh, awesome. I loved your finger knitting class on Your Teachable Moment. Thank you, Evelyn. You did a great job. It was really fun. And we had such a great time talking, chatting. Of course, we kind of knew each other, you know, from YouTube, from all of our behind the scenes chatting. But it will be really fun. I know that they're working on some ways to advertise, and so we can get more people into Your Teachable Moment. There's so many awesome classes. I am taking Spanish with Evelyn. So Evelyn is teaching Spanish. Danny, Kelly, Dawn, and there's another girl that I can't remember her name. And she was taking classes also on Spanish and just beginning Spanish. And we talked about how to order at a restaurant and just practicing the new sounds for the Spanish language. A lot of parents want private tutoring for reading and math. Okay, so I'm going to check that out. Maybe open up some private tutoring. I can do that. The only problem with private tutoring is you don't make as much money as you would if you had 3 or 4 kids. So I saw that they had some like drama with the Harry Potter people. I'm not a Harry Potter fan, so I don't have any problem with that. But a lot of people were using that as a way to get bookings, and some people are true Harry Potter fans, I guess. But they're clamping down on that because that is a copyrighted thing. So they can't just say it's Harry Potter reading class or Harry Potter game day or something like that. They have to say it's trivia, or there's other ways of kind of getting around it, and you can't read the book actually online type of thing. I wanted to do a class all about birds, but I saw there are tons of classes about birds. And it's just really hard to know what to choose. I know they send out a list for the parents or from the parents of requested classes. And I don't know, whenever I send in something, it gets approved right away. So I don't think they're like clamping down on how many classes there are. So it's a matter of just creating something that other parents want. Parents are happily paying 20 to 30 minutes. So that's 14 to 30 for 30 minutes. Yeah. So that's better than VIPKID pay, but it's not, you know, what people have been advertising for OUTSCHOOL. Personally, I would rather teach early in the morning because it leaves me my whole day. When I do OUTSCHOOL, I would rather get paid more money if I'm going to do midday, because those are my better hours for other things. So if I'm going to make just VIPKID pay, I would rather just teach in the morning for VIPKID. But actually, with the time change, maybe we'll have, you know, we can open out those OUTSCHOOL times and see what happens. It would be really fun to teach finger knitting to people in other countries. Have you guys had anybody in other countries come to your classes? No curriculum. I make up the reading based on the student's level and interests, usually animals. Yeah, that's great. A person asked me to do private social skills classes, and I'm not sure how to do that. Oh, that's interesting. It might depend on the age. And Luann, I would go to just go to Google and ask, and like say if it's for 10-year-olds, say social skills for 10-year-olds, and then see what you get for a list, and then work off of that. Sometimes they just want to share general things that we think are obvious, but for kids just need to review. Oh, Lauren, right? Look up social stories. Yeah, that would be good too. Social skills like conflict resolution, making friends. Yeah, that would be good. Making friends in a pandemic, it's pretty rough. It's a really weird. Now, as far as making friends, when my kids were younger, we homeschool. We were always together in a group. When we met people, they really always warmed up to people very easily. But then when we would go to the park, you see other kids that are very standoffish and afraid of strangers. And it really is different. And then my kids, when they got older, they felt like they didn't know how to make friends, but they actually had better ability to do it than kids in the public school. So people who are neurodivergent, like autistics, oh, okay, need social skills. And I don't know, it's just really hard on the internet too, because it's different. It's different. But I've had some really amazing kids. Have you guys had any kids on OUTSCHOOL from other countries? I actually had a little girl from England last week for knitting. It was so cute. She's adorable. She had a British accent, and she said she was from, I can't remember the city right now. And she said she's from England. And I was like, England? And then we were talking about different places that we visited. She's like, I visited Italy. And I was like, wow. She was like 7. She was learning how to knit. So it was really fun. And we had one from England, California, and like usually my classes are people all over the world. I did have one girl in one of my knitting classes that was from my state, about an hour ride from me. So that was pretty amazing. She lives in a excuse my headband, it's kind of falling off. She lives in a town near where I used to live. So happy farms. Thank you, Candy. Like, she likes my British accent. Thumbs up, everyone. Thank you. And Dominican Republic and Hong Kong. I have taught VIPKID. I have had a couple students from Hong Kong with VIPKID, but not with OUTSCHOOL. OUTSCHOOL has always been in the States except for the one girl from England. But I haven't taught that many students. Okay, I'll give you my stats for OUTSCHOOL. It adds up. Like, I'm really surprised that I've done as many as I have done for OUTSCHOOL, and I've made a little bit of money. So my referring teacher finally got paid, hopefully. I didn't really ask her. And I wanted to thank Evelyn for that really awesome video the other day about checking your stats. I had no idea how to do that. And so I have 52 followers. Wow. I had no idea I had followers. Is that a new one? I don't remember seeing a follower button. I've taught 48 learners, and I have 7 classes available, 1 in progress. I have knitting, finger knitting. I have 1 student that wants to do knitting, and I do have a few 5-star rating. All of whoever has given me ratings has been 5 stars. And I've only have a 6% re-enrollment rate, but most of my classes are one-time classes. I do have the one knitting class that's 4 times. So I wouldn't get a high rating if I only have one-time classes. Oh, hello, Micah. Hello. I hope you are healthy today. I am kind of, yeah, I'll talk about that in a minute. So Candy says, she's had people from Hong Kong and a boy from France who would translate the vocabulary to French for him. He was so charming. Awesome. That is really cool. For OUTSCHOol for France, that is really cool. So the reason I had, yeah, and I also wanted to say, if anybody wants to come on here, I will put my link out. I mean, it was really fun the other day when teacher Tim did it. He just had people pop in. So if you want to pop in, you can click on that link, and then I can see you in the waiting room, and then I can let you come on and we can talk like in person. That would really be fun. Oh, Luann had one from Australia. That is so cool. I think it's so hard to go like, oh, that is so awesome. But yeah. So yeah, the reason why I said something about my health, I did lose my step bet already. I joined the step bet for the Good Fortune Box Club people, but I didn't get any real messages from their group. I think that would have helped because I kind of forgot about it. Too much came up. It should be boys like so yeah, so I kind of lost the step bet, and I've kind of been kind of busy with lots of stuff and lots of like emotional things going on in my life. So I did join a painting class. Now for this painting class, if you're friends with me on Facebook, you'll see that I did a painting. Oh, I did make a video about it. I did a painting. It was $10 to do this painting. It was a 5-day class. So you do something each day. And it was just so amazing. And the person who did the painting, she was just so encouraging. She's like, we can't have any negativity in this group. I don't want you posting any negative comments, and I want you to take pictures of your work. And when you do post it on the group, you're not allowed to say anything negative about it. Now, that's kind of hard, like, especially if you're new, to not criticize your work. But yeah, I really loved her attitude. And I think that it helped me to kind of, you know, with all this stress and negativity going on in the world, it helped me to have something good and positive and to just let my brain rest from all of the stress and the negativity. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do to help myself. Like, I've done a lot for my physical self, but now this is kind of for my mental health, you know, to just try and have hope. You know, there's hard things happening in the world. Hello, Mindy. The follow button is a white heart that turns red when you click it. You can follow teachers and classes. That's awesome. That's on OUTSCHOOL. Oh, hey, Tim. I just watched your VIPKID video on your issues and hang in there. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm kind of working on my mental health, and I was kind of putting up for everyone, what have you learned in the last 6 months? Now, it could be VIPKID, OUTSCHOOL, computer tech stuff. It could be anything. So, yeah, I did a thing yesterday. I finally pressed the button to order a new MacBook Pro. So Tim kind of reminded me of that. So now I have to wait because you have to kind of mail order it. So I decided that this is my job. The computer I'm using it kind of gives me issues every now and then, and there's more I want to do with it. And I love my MacBook Pro, and I want a upgraded one. So I'm so excited. I can't wait. It'll be like Christmas. But I had some money saved up, and I just didn't really want to spend the money, and I decided I'm going to spend the money because I want to get better at OUTSCHOOL, and I want to I can make the money back, right? So that it'll be an incentive to work harder to make the money back, and not really work more, but work smarter, not harder. That's, yeah. So I want to make a website, and I want to follow procedures to increase my teaching business, whatever it is. I'm still on a journey. So make sure it has a good graphic card and fast processor. Well, I ordered a brand new MacBook Pro, so hopefully it does, or I'm sending it back. So we have to put money into our business to make it grow. It's hard, but pays off in the end. Yeah. And honestly, I haven't put that much money into my business at all. The computer I have was a refurbished, and if I hadn't had a friend that could help me with it, it would be junk right now. But I had a friend that was willing to, he's a computer expert, but he doesn't really like Macs, but he was willing to work on it for me, and he got it going. Otherwise, I would have been up a creek. So, and I love the Mac whole program. I love using my iPad, and I figured I'll buy the new computer. If I need to travel, I could always bring my old computer if I don't want to like mess up my new computer. I don't know, but I wanted a bigger screen. I just went for it. So I pressed the button yesterday, and I'm really excited. So Danny, did you do ASL on your teachable moment? Yeah. So your teachable moment, they say there's a lot coming down with that. It looks really fun. There's a lot of fun stuff going on in there. And I had a finger knitting class, which I wanted Micah to try for so he could teach his daughter. They say it's really good for kids and their dexterity. There's a way you can finger knit on 4 fingers, and there's a way you can finger knit on 2, and you can even do 1. So if I get a student that really can't figure out the 4-fingered one, I teach them the 1-finger one, and they're happy to leave having learned something. And so, but it's really fun. You can do a lot of things with it. I have this really long, I'm going to make like a kind of like a 3, it's going to be like 3 pieces to it like this. And so you can do a lot of things with finger knitting. You can, it's a great little skill to teach kids. It goes pretty quick, and they could make Christmas gifts and things like that from that skill. And so we had a really great talk during the class last week, and it was really fun. But I really want you guys to join my cornucopia class, because you guys need to make one. Once you make a cornucopia and you use it for your Thanksgiving table, you're going to want to make it a tradition. A lot of the people that I have taught through the years have made it a tradition. I have a friend, she's the one that taught me how to do it. And I told her about OUTSCHOOL, and I told her about these things, but she doesn't want to do it like on the online. She does a lot she's got a lot of friends in her personal life, but her whole family, they get together, and her and all of her kids, they each make a cornucopia, and it's just a tradition. They do it every year. So she taught it to me. She also makes them for other people, and they buy them for their own holiday table. So, and she's really good at it. But this is something fun that you can do for yourself, for your holiday table. You can use it. You can go to either on my YouTube channel or on, I don't know, one of my things, OUTSCHOOL or Your Teachable Moment. I have a video about it and a picture. And you can use it to, like, say you want to make rolls. You can put the rolls in it and put them around the cornucopia, or you could put like nuts in it and kind of showcase it and make it like a, you know, the guests come in and they take crackers and cheese or nuts or whatever you want, or even fruit. It's and you can go on YouTube and find other people that have done it too. That's usually what I do with my students at the school, is we'll watch a video first so that they know what they're doing. And then we will, you know, we do it all in one 45-minute class, but we talk about it ahead of time so they know what to do, what they're doing. So I really recommend it. If you have kids, you could try it. If you want to go on Your Teachable Moment, you could try it. I did with Brooklyn. She has 3 deaf children. Awesome. Wow, that's great. I took this wonderful finger knitting class from an awesome teacher on Your Teachable. I'd highly recommend it. Well, we just had such a great time. And there's a lot of things you can do with the finger knitting. I even was looking through YouTube, and I saw this one lady that made a rug. She made all these strips, and then she wove them, or she weaved them. You guys can help me out in the chat box. She weaved them, and then she put like a border around them, and then she put like a mat underneath so they could use it as a little rug. They could like lay down and read on it. I thought that was really awesome. I also have another craft I'm thinking of doing, which is how to crochet a, I wonder if you could finger that. Probably not. How to crochet a mat out of plastic garbage bags. Have you ever seen those? We made those with my it can take a little while, but those are really fun. And you can either use them for yourself or give it to homeless people, or you could use it in different ways. Did you know you can see teachers in the class clips? They didn't fix the glitch. Oh, interesting. For VIP Kid? Teachers in the class. I'll have to check that out. I have seen the kids in the things, and I sometimes could hear, but I did not see. It's so weird watching your regulars with other teachers. Awesome. I haven't really watched many of those. When I'm done, I'm done. But I'm going to check that out sometime today, probably. Wow, that's interesting. You should crochet scrubbers. I have some that I made with specific scratchy yarn, and they are great. Yeah. Well, those are kind of, yeah, scrubbies. I haven't really made those, but I have looked them up. But I usually make the dishcloths, and they work pretty well too. Right click, save as MP4. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah. Well, I had one student last night. She was so cute, and I've had her before. She can read. She's really bright, but she had an assessment. I don't think she understood that this was an assessment. And I've had her before. She can read. She can answer questions. But last night, she just was echoing. And I'm like, this is an assessment. You need to do this. So it's weird. I think it's cool when you are the teacher and you know this isn't one of their on days. Like, I remember her being very on. She's reading. She's participating well. And then it's an assessment. It wasn't one of her on days, but I know she can do this stuff. And it's good. Like, if she was my only student, I would be like, wow, she can't do anything. But because she's my regular, I know that it's just, a different, she wasn't being naughty or anything. She was just really preoccupied with, I think she was drawing pictures or something. Has anyone made the trial video? I tried, but every video I make is too big for VIPKID, so I end up having to film my video on the computer with my phone and then submit it. Candy, is that how you watch it? Man, I had a VIPKID class, and it was level 3 grammar, and he couldn't read at all. Nice. Those are hard ones. Those are really hard ones. I have not made the trial video. I've pretty much made all the videos up till now, and I feel like nothing really happens different. So I figured I wasn't going to spend the time doing it. So yeah, I did have today, I had 2 classes not booked. I had, let's see, I had 5 classes, and I had 1 trial class that did not book. Yesterday, I had a trial class that did not book. So I sat here for the 15 minutes. And then today I had an 8:30 that didn't show up. So I had 2 classes today that I didn't have to really teach. So I had a 6:30, a 7:30, and an 8. So I only taught 3 out of 5 classes this morning. So, and I have no classes tonight, and I'm also taking Sundays off. I have a level 7 that I usually teach for an hour on Sundays. And since he's not booking, I'm just taking Sundays off. And I'm like Evelyn, like I'm kind of, when you first start the first year or so, you're like, wake up and you're like, yay, your adrenaline is going because you're so excited about seeing the kids and everything. And then I'm at the point where it's not as like, I'm so excited about this. So I just figured I'm not going to push myself for the classes. I'm doing 4 to 5, sometimes 6 in the morning. And then I'm taking Friday and Saturday off usually, although yesterday I did have 2 classes. And then I'm taking Sundays off. So I'm taking some time so that I don't get burnt out and so that I don't feel like I don't like this or I don't want to do this. Because I still want to do it. I want to, replenish my money from that computer, right? But I'm really enjoying OUTSCHOOL. I'm enjoying Your Teachable Moment. I want to learn how to do a website. I want to advance in my abilities to do what I'm doing. And so I don't want to just teach VIPKID the same way I'm doing it right now. I have not referred anyone for OUTSCHOOL. I have a whole list of people, parents and teachers, that have used my code, but nobody has taken the classes so that I could make money, and nobody has pursued being a teacher. So that hasn't really gotten me any money, but I did, when I first started with VIPKID, I actually got referred 4 people and I got a bonus of $100 in 1 quarter. That was awesome. I wish they still had that for VIPKID, like every quarter, if you did, even if they didn't have the huge bonuses, little bonuses, but I guess they don't need those anymore. So I'm back to taking Saturday and Sunday off. I got to sleep in today. Yeah. You can make a free website on Weebly. That's what I started with. Okay. Well, I do have like a blog on blogspot.com, but nobody reads it. So I need to figure out how to make a website that actually people will go to or find. So that's an art, I'm sure, in itself. So yeah, and we have a church website, but that was kind of complicated the way that was put together. So I need to do it in a way that I know how to do it. No weekend classes for me. Helps me power through the week. Yeah. And Casey, oh cool, I didn't know you had a blog. Yeah, well, it's called Bennett More Than a Dozen. Yeah, it can be difficult. Okay. And what else? So what else have you guys learned? I have learned some things. VIPKID, OUTSCHOOL. I've learned a lot. In March when we came home from the pandemic, I learned a lot about masks. I learned about, when I first came home, I was making masks and trying to make sure that they were safe for people. I kind of lost interest in the mask because I realized that we weren't going to it's not going to be that safe. Like if there's a germ around you and it gets on your mask and you're playing with it, it's not going to really do much. So I kind of lost interest in the mask. I learned a lot about what is really going on in the news and how now I've known that people aren't honest in the news, but the news, the way it is right now, is really crazy. So I've learned a lot about that. I haven't learned anything good. Oh, Micah, that's not good. I haven't had any bonuses for referrals. My referrals never make it all the way through. Oh, man. Yeah, I had some really good referrals. I actually have, I found referrals through my iPad group because at that time, I was able to intercept people and they hadn't used any code yet and they weren't in VIPKID yet. So they're able to put my code in even though they had already started the process. And so now that they've changed that, that makes it even harder to get referrals. So I got 2 or 3 that way. I got 3 that way. And then the 4th one was my daughter. She signed up. She was in between work. And she's actually still teaching a couple of classes here and there, but not like regular, not like me. About people I've learned some dark things. Yeah. Learn a lot of dark things about people. Yeah, that's true. I've learned a lot about how some people can do the worst things and still they're not in jail. I don't know how that works. So, yeah. So you might as well read the comics as to watch the news. I do not watch any kind of mainstream media. I watch my own channels, which are usually conservative channels. And I always have to remember that only conservative people watch these channels. Like, this isn't public news for everyone. And that's what's so hard, is that everyone isn't getting the facts. Everybody's just kind of going where it agrees with them. Like, I'll listen to people that I agree with, and then, you know, other people listen to who they agree with. And so they're not really hearing both sides of the story. So that's sad. My ASL teacher at Your Teachable Moment applied to OUTSCHOOL and made it after 3 tries. Ooh, awesome. Good for you. Wow, that's one way of doing it too, is just keeping those, you know, keep putting your feelers out there. I learned a lot about our political system. I learned a lot about what the last 25 years of education has gotten to our country, which isn't really very good. I've learned a lot about the justice process. Like, I have been teaching my kids, we've always done like a traditional approach to education. So a lot of what I teach my kids and what we teach in Christian school is what I learned when I was a kid. It's a traditional approach. We teach phonics, we teach you know, reading, we use good literature, as opposed to modern stuff that has simpler language. Modern stuff has simpler language. It has simpler thought processes, not as much history. So we do like a traditional approach. So we do teach love for our country. We make them memorize the preamble to the Constitution. They memorize a lot of the original documents, you know, in their classes. They memorize them and they have to say them word perfectly in their classes. And so this is what we teach. But a lot of our kids, and we do the pledges every day, a lot of the kids in society aren't doing these things. They don't know, you know, the original things that history, to me, are just common. And so it just really surprises me what people say and do in our world today. But I personally have not kept up on the news. I don't know everything about the political process. My oldest daughter at home right now, she just did a government class, and she did it on as a home school project, civics, and just kind of do it to get it done because it's a requirement. And she graduated early. But I'm like, now you know why this was so important, you know, and they just cover the basics, you know, about our political system. But even watching Amy Barrett, Judge Barrett, be questioned by people, like, they should know that she can't answer these questions. They should know that they're just preaching at her. They're not really asking her questions. So that was interesting. I've learned a lot about our judicial system and about how everything works. I've also tried to get to know more about my own state and like representatives and who the senators are and what people are doing, so that when the votes come out, I'm familiar with the names, you know, of the people in my own state. So I'm not just saying, okay, I'm going to just press, you know, one party and then everybody on that party gets my vote. But I actually know the people, and I can make an intelligent decision. And I'm old. Like, this is not good. Like, I should have been more involved sooner. But I felt like I was always doing the right thing, trying to raise my family, working hard, being honest, teaching my kids to be honest. And, you know, I was sort of trusting the system, and it feels like now it hasn't been trustworthy. So removing a statue does not make it go away. Yeah, that is so true. Yeah. And, you know, I'm just really surprised at the disrespect that people show towards one another. Like, even if you don't agree with, say, the governor or the president, you still have to treat them with respect for their office, you know, and still honor them as a person, and honor your parents, and honor people who have gone before you, and have respect, because respect doesn't mean you agree with them. It just means that you have, you know, personal character within yourself. So I've learned a lot about, like, even immunizations and vaccinations and germs, and uh, how germs work, and even the immune system. I've read a lot about the immune system and how we do need germs in order to have a strong immune system. Like, we can't just stay away from germs forever and never get germs. Like, we need germs in order to build up our immunity to other germs. So that's something that we can all learn, we can all research and read about, and we can, I don't, yeah. So those are things that I've been reading about. Also, I've learned what's in the immunizations, like how do they make them, how long it takes for them to create them, and to trust them as a valid source of immunity type of thing. And so that's important too. And I learned about the Ginsburg rule, which I just watched a video of someone that talked about the Ginsburg rule. They said they didn't really agree with it, because we should know, because we, you know, even though there are laws, and even though Amy Barrett says, I just look at the law and I interpret by the law, there is going to be an element of what you believe that goes in there. Random game videos. This is teachers, online teachers. So statues that honor bad people, lives, yeah, should not be viewable by children. By tearing them down, we teach children people like that should not be revered in history. Okay. So it is online teachers. Yeah. I don't know who that is. Random game videos. I don't watch game videos, so yeah, so I've learned a lot. And, you know, the thing about it is we have the ability to research and to learn and to come up with our own decisions. Now, something that I have taught my kids, and that I believe as a philosophy, is that when you um, want to study maybe somebody's life, like, say, George Washington, I want to know as much about George Washington as possible. Then go back in time and read what George Washington wrote. Read his autobiography, and read about when he lived, other people, what they wrote about him, what his friends said about him, what people did, what they learned about him during that time. And then you can get a good idea of who George Washington was. If you go forward, you know, if you go forward in time and then all you do is read about George Washington, you don't get as clear a picture as who George Washington was. Like, you kind of have to know the culture and how people lived. Like, some people say, well, so and so had slaves. Well, what if you were born at a time when your family had slaves, you know, and you just started that moment in time, you had slaves, you wouldn't know that it's wrong right from the first day you're born, right? It takes a while to figure it out. And so even now, there are things that our culture does wrong, but we don't know because we're used to it. Like, even my kids, I'm like, why do they want to do that? You know, it's because that's their culture. That's my kids' culture. Like, okay, I'll use an example of jeans, okay? When I was in high school, you didn't go around with tight jeans on. Like, that was just really bad. If you wore tight jeans, that was like really bad. You were a bad girl if you wore tight jeans. And if you wore jeans with holes in them, that was even worse. But now girls, nice girls, will wear tight jeans, and they don't really see anything wrong with having holes in their jeans. Like, it's a style. Like, I'm trying to think of somebody I saw some recently in the news that had, jeans on with holes. It's like a style. It's not really looked at as a bad thing. And personally, I don't like it. As a mom, I'm like, why would you want to wear those? Pay more money for jeans with holes in them. But kids don't see it that way. They don't understand what I'm thinking and how I'm thinking. And I'm not saying that slavery is like that, but I'm just using that as an example of, if you were born into a time where people were doing things a certain way, you have to compare that to something. And of course, we don't treat people badly. Like, my kids, they grew up in their own little world, and they wouldn't treat people badly. And I think Amy Barrett, she said, she had white kids and she had kids from Haiti, and they treated each other the same, and they didn't understand what's going on in that big world. So, it's really, a lot of it does depend on how you were brought up, where you were brought up, the circles that you live in, and what your parents talk about, how they talk about it. And the slavery thing is a bit of a different topic. It was always evil. Most people didn't own slaves. I don't really know that. I do know this, okay? I know that
someone ate all the muffins.
I know this, that there's a can you shut the door, please? I don't know. You can make some muffins. You can make your own muffins. I know that the story of Amazing Grace and John Newton, who he actually was brought up in a good home, and then he went away and he got involved in the slave trade, and then he regretted it, and then he turned his life around, and then he gave his life to correct the wrongs, which you can't really correct wrongs when you hurt someone, but he did what he could, and he wrote the song Amazing Grace. And so that tells me, yes, he knew it was wrong. He did it anyway. And then he tried to correct it. But I don't really know, like, I haven't really studied enough about it to know, like, what would I do? I don't know what I would do, because I didn't live in it. I don't know what I would do, really. I don't know if I'd be on the team that said, I have slaves, but they help me a lot. I mean, there's a lot of good stories about slaves and helping each other. And then I don't know what team I'd be on, because if we don't live in that time, we don't really know exactly how we're going to think about it. That's what's hard about it. But I agree, treating people badly is treating people badly. So I hope I would have fought against it. I know that for me, like, when I went to school, I didn't want to treat people badly, but then there were other times that we did treat people badly. Like, maybe we called them, different, I don't know. So anyway, I guess I'm saying all that to just say, we can study, we can go back in time, we can live today. Like, we can't go back and correct how everybody else did everything in the past, but we can do today what is right and good, and we can think about it, and we have the ability to study it, to look at how we're treating people, how we are living, and how we are reacting to different situations. So all we can really do is live today the way that we should live. And, we can't always go back, we weren't there. So we can't go back and tell them anything. We can't do anything about it. All we can do is live today. And I am thankful for the life that I've had in America. And I'm thankful that I have had some discernment about, what's good and right. Now, when I was back in junior high, I went to public school, and then I was able to go to a Christian school during my high school years. And I'm telling you, my public school, I was afraid for my life. And I'm not not because of my skin, but because I didn't want to drink and I didn't want to use the bad language, and I didn't want to party with all my friends that I had made friends, and all of them were partying and doing things that I didn't want to be involved in. And I was afraid for my life. I was afraid that bullies would, you know, say, hey, she thinks she's so good. And that's what was happening. Like, they were picking people and they were hurting people. And it wasn't because of the skin color. It was just because people are mean. So I was fortunate enough to go away from that school, and I was able to go to a Christian school where we had freedom to just, I felt like I had freedom to be good. And I loved it. I loved it very much. And we studied hard, and we had some really good friends, great teachers. It was amazing. And that was in my state. It was a very small school, and it was just a huge blessing. And who would have guessed 10 years ago that would be in our current state in this society? Well, unfortunately, the seeds were being planted 10 years ago. But some of us didn't notice it because we were working hard and we were doing what we're supposed to do. And then other things were going on behind the scenes that we didn't realize. So I guess I'm just here to say that, you know, we can keep praying for our country. And I'm thankful that we can learn and that we can open our minds to the truth. We can share the truth with other people. We can show compassion to them and stuff like that. Yeah, bullying is never okay, but you know, when you're a kid, you don't know what to do. Like back then, bullying wasn't even talked about, you know. Actually, the school that I was in, one of my favorite teachers, she was in English. They did like grades. Like, she wasn't the A+ teacher. She was like the B teacher. And she was amazing. She was organized. She loved the kids. She was one of my favorite teachers. And the students bullied her so much that she quit her job. So yeah, that's not good. And it's horrible, but this is what we're living in. And I don't know, you know, we can say we need to stop slavery. Well, we stopped slavery, but now people are still being mean. So we need to stop, you know, teaching people to be mean. So now we're having other problems about bullying because, you know, now we're saying you don't believe like me, so, you know, I have the right to get mad at you about it and stuff like that. So I don't know if our society is any better off right now until we decide we're actually going to be nice and respect people. It's gonna take on another form. Like, okay, we're stopping doing this bad activity. We're gonna take on another form and do some other bad activity until we decide to treat other people the way we would want to be treated, right? So anyway, I don't know why I got on that tangent, but what have you learned? I've learned a lot in the last few months. Yeah, we are slaves in many ways. Yeah. And, you know, that's why I took up painting, because I can control my mind, and no matter what goes on around me, I can still choose to keep control of my own mind, right? And I can't control everyone else and what everyone else is doing, but I can try and be happy myself. So, yeah. So I'm really excited about the painting class. This teacher, she has her own designs, which she says you cannot use these designs in order to like teach online, but you can use those designs to teach personal classes, in-person classes. So I was thinking about doing that. We are slaves at needing to make money. Yeah, that's true. That is very true. And we're also slaves to like positions in businesses. That's why I like the online community, because we can work hard and we can find ways to make more money, but we're still kind of working for ourselves. But, you know, if you work for a company, you're kind of at their mercy if they like you or not, if they're going to promote you or not, if they're going to leave you in the hourly wage category, or if you get promoted to a manager or something. So yeah. So in a way, forced labor. There are people now a lot in China who are forced into labor. Yeah, that's really sad. So I do believe in prayer, and I do believe that God can help people. Like, God can help people that are in bad situations to find peace and find freedom of their own mind, even if they are in bad situations. I think of like Corrie ten Boom, who was put in prison or put in the concentration camp, and she was a Christian, and her sister actually died, but God miraculously allowed her to live to write a book and live to tell about it. And the amazing inspiration that she is, that even though she was in a horrible situation, how God took care of her, and he showed her his mercy and grace in many times. He allowed her to be forgiving. He taught her things that she would have never have learned otherwise. So maybe we can also learn from that, is that we can learn things today about ourselves, learn about humanity, and learn about trying to be a good person, even though times are hard, even though we want to give up sometimes. So yeah, I've heard a lot about in China, and how that's one reason why we don't want everything made in China, because it's cheaper there, but it's because they're using slave labor. But you know, if they don't have any of our work, then it's probably going to be worse for them, I would think. So it's a hard one. So God's our only hope, you know. Ecclesiastes, my favorite book, was reading some last night. None of this new, it says. That's right. Yeah. Ecclesiastes says there's nothing new under the sun. And, you know, at the end, the Bible says, Ecclesiastes, I've taught that Solomon, and I've taught junior high kids, and I was like, you know, Solomon had everything. He had everything in this world he could have ever had, and he still sinned. And he also got the conclusion. He said, if you get everything, it's just vanity, you know, without God. So even in our world, like, we want to make more money, or we want to be successful, we want to have this and have that, but it's really all vanity without God and without his purpose in our life. So I love that book also. And hello, Laura. Thank you for coming. I'm actually been on here a little too long today, but I was actually planning to go to my daughter's house because she wanted some help with the kids. So I think I'll be doing that later this afternoon. And that's always a real blessing, is just, number one, helping somebody, helping and being around little kids that just, you know, to the parents, they're hard, but to the grandmother, they're not hard at all. And I've taught them to finger knit. I taught one of the granddaughters, she figured it out. The other one had a hard time, so we just did the one finger knitting. And they're homeschooling this year, so their days are really kind of difficult, but it's coming along, and I'm homeschooling too. My kids have DVDs, so I've kind of trying to teach them to be more independent. They watch the DVD, they do the work, and I'm trying to just trust the process. Try not to be too, like, overly concerned about what actually gets done. But if they're going through it, they are learning, they are improving, they are making progress, they are kids. They deserve to be kids, right? My grandkids are, I have two granddaughters. One is, 7 and 8. They grow so fast. And then I have a boy that's 4, and then the little one almost 2. So yeah. So they're young. They're young. They're just starting out. They're just starting out with the reading. They're learning how to read. The 2 girls have taken classes with teacher Laura. She's done pen pal classes on OUTSCHOOL. So that's been good. They've enjoyed that. And So that's been fun. I tried to get them into like the tea parties early on, but you know, they do a lot, and so they do watch TV, so doing more school online isn't really their main priority, but it is a really great it's a really great program. Like I'm looking at all the math classes. I'm like, I could have just done math on OUTSCHOOL. Skip, you know, all this curriculum stuff, because there are teachers that have the whole year of pre-algebra that they teach, or the whole year of algebra that they teach. And they get all the content that way with a regular teacher. So that's kind of cool. And I've really enjoyed my students. They've been really, really good. And they sign up and they act like, some of them would. I had one little girl knitting last Saturday that she'd rather play with her computer, change the background, stuff like that. But for the most part, they adapt. They do really well. And I have a couple of boys that do finger knitting, and one of my boys, he's made so many chains. He wants to make a blanket. So, yeah. That's a fun class, pen pals. Yeah. Yeah, so I have a couple more ideas. I'm thinking, as a parent, some of my hardest things to teach have been writing and reading, like practice reading. That's sometimes hard for parents to listen to kids read, or maybe the kids don't want to read for their parents. So listening to reading is a really good thing. I think it would be good to pay someone else to do. And writing. Writing is something that kids don't always want to do, but they might do for someone else other than the parent. So, and then the math facts, that's always important too. Not just understanding the math, but learning the math facts. My kids have been in programs where you have to memorize all of the math facts. Now, in public school, they don't always teach memorization, but I found that it definitely, everything works better if you have all of your math facts memorized. So those are some classes that I'm thinking that I might try. So anyway, I've been here long enough. It's time for me to go get some fresh eggs from my chickens and eat some breakfast. And I really appreciate you guys for coming by and watching my channel. And if you have anything else you'd like to mention, go ahead and put it in the comments or send me an email. And I will see you guys next time. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.